The magic of the Wanderlust Shoes. In the small, sleepy town of Cloverdale, a group of children gathered in the attic of an old abandoned house on a rainy afternoon. The house, known to harbor many secrets, was the perfect spot for their explorations. Among these children was a curious and spirited girl named Lily, known for her love of stories and adventures. As they rummaged through old trunks and dusty books, Lily stumbled upon a peculiar pair of shoes tucked away in a forgotten corner. The shoes sparkled even in the dim light of the attic, their colors changing like the surface of a soap bubble. Intrigued, Lily picked them up and a note fell from one of the shoes. It read, "To the bearer of these shoes, let your heart's desire guide your journey. The world awaits." The children were awestruck. They had heard legends of magical artifacts, but they had never seen one. Lily, filled with a sense of wonder, slipped the shoes onto her feet. "Let's go on an adventure," she exclaimed, her eyes gleaming with excitement. With a little hesitation, Lily closed her eyes and wished to see the Eiffel Tower in Paris. In a blink, the children found themselves standing on a bustling street with the majestic Eiffel Tower towering above them. The transition was so swift and smooth that it took them a moment to realize they had actually traveled halfway across the world. The streets of Paris were alive with the sounds of music, the aroma of fresh pastries, and the sight of art and culture at every turn. The children explored the city with wide-eyed wonder, marveling at the beautiful architecture and the lively atmosphere. They tasted croissants and eclairs, listened to street musicians, and laughed as they tried to speak a few words in French. As they wandered through the charming streets, Lily and her friends learned about the history of Paris, the significance of its landmarks, and the lifestyle of its people. The experience was exhilarating, a far cry from their quiet life in Cloverdale. As the day turned to evening and the Eiffel Tower lit up in a brilliant display of lights, the children felt a sense of connection to this part of the world they had only heard of in stories. They realized that every place had its own story, its own culture, and its own beauty. Eventually, it was time to return home. Lily wished on the magical shoes once more, and in an instant, they were back in the attic in Cloverdale. The adventure had felt like a dream, yet the memories they had created were as real as the shoes that had made it possible. That night, as Lily lay in bed, she thought about the magical shoes and the endless possibilities they held. She knew this was just the beginning of many more adventures. The world was vast and full of wonders, and she couldn't wait to explore more of it. The next day, the group of friends, still buzzing from their Paris adventure, gathered once again in the attic. They were eager to embark on another journey with the magical shoes. This time, they decided to let Sam, the youngest of the group, choose their destination. With eyes shining with excitement, Sam whispered his wish to see the pyramids of Egypt. In an instant, the children found themselves standing on the warm sands of Giza, with the majestic pyramids rising before them against a clear blue sky. The sight was breathtaking. They had seen pictures of the pyramids in books, but seeing them up close was an entirely different experience. As they explored the ancient structures, a local guide noticed their fascination and offered to tell them about the history of the pyramids. The children learned about the pharaohs, the construction of the pyramids, and the fascinating aspects of ancient Egyptian culture. They were mesmerized by stories of mummies, hieroglyphics, and the belief in the afterlife. The guide also showed them the Sphinx, the iconic statue with the body of a lion and the head of a human. Standing in front of it, the children felt as if they had traveled back in time, walking in the footsteps of an ancient civilization. Their adventure in Egypt was not just about seeing the pyramids, it was an immersive experience into a culture vastly different from their own. They tried traditional Egyptian food, listened to local music, and even learned a few Arabic words. As the sun began to set over the desert, casting a golden hue over the pyramids, the children knew it was time to return home. They thanked the guide for his kindness and knowledge, and with a wish, they were back in the attic of the old house in Cloverdale. The magic of the shoes had not only transported them to different places, but had opened their minds to the rich tapestry of the world's cultures. They realized that every place they visited had something unique to offer, something to learn, and stories to uncover. That evening, as they shared their experiences with their families, the children's tales were met with awe and wonder. The parents were initially skeptical, but seeing the joy and knowledge their children were gaining, they couldn't help but be supportive. Lily, Sam, and the rest of the group lay in bed that night, their minds racing with possibilities. They had the whole world at their feet, quite literally, and they were determined to explore as much of it as they could. They drifted off to sleep, dreaming of exotic lands, ancient monuments, and the adventures that awaited them. The children's adventures with the magical shoes soon became the highlight of their lives. Each journey brought new experiences, learning, and a deeper appreciation for the world's diversity. For their next adventure, they decided to visit somewhere completely different, the bustling streets of Tokyo, Japan. Upon their arrival, they were immediately immersed in a blend of traditional and modern culture. The neon lights, towering skyscrapers, and the constant flow of people were a stark contrast to the ancient history they had experienced in Egypt. Tokyo was a city that seemed to pulse with energy and innovation. They wandered through the busy streets, marveling at the unique blend of old and new. They visited ancient temples nestled between modern buildings, watched a traditional tea ceremony, and were captivated by the beauty of Japanese gardens, meticulously arranged and peaceful. In Tokyo, the children learned about the importance of harmony and respect in Japanese culture. They observed the polite manners of the people and the orderly way of life, even in such a busy city. They tried sushi for the first time, experimented with using chopsticks, and even attended a sumo wrestling match, which was both exciting and culturally enlightening. One of the most memorable experiences was their visit to a school in Tokyo. The children spent a day attending classes with Japanese students, learning about their education system and making new friends. They were amazed at the differences and similarities between their school life in Cloverdale and that of the students in Tokyo. As the day turned into night, the children found themselves at a traditional festival. They wore yukatas, watched fireworks light up the sky, and danced to the rhythm of taiko drums. The festival was a celebration of culture and community, and the children felt a sense of belonging, even though they were miles away from home. With their hearts full of new experiences and minds expanded with knowledge, the children wished themselves back to Cloverdale. They returned with souvenirs, photos, and countless stories of their time in Tokyo. The adventures with the magical shoes were more than just trips. They were life lessons in understanding and appreciating different cultures. The children realized that every culture had its unique beauty and value, and there was so much to learn from each of them. That night, as they gathered in their secret attic to discuss their next destination, they felt a deep sense of gratitude for the magical shoes. The shoes had not only given them the gift of exploration, but had also taught them the joys of discovery and the importance of embracing diversity. Over time, the children's travels with the magical shoes took them to all corners of the globe. They walked along the Great Wall of China, marveled at the wildlife on an African safari, and danced at a colorful carnival in Brazil. Each destination was a new chapter in their book of adventures, filled with unique experiences and lessons. Their journeys taught them not just about the places they visited, but also about compassion, understanding, and the unity of humanity. They learned that despite the differences in language, customs, and lifestyles, people everywhere shared similar joys and challenges. As the children grew, so did their understanding of the world. They began to see themselves not just as residents of Cloverdale, but as citizens of the world. They shared their stories with their families and friends, spreading the knowledge and appreciation they had gained. The magical shoes had ignited a spark of curiosity and empathy in them, which they passed on to others. One day, as they gathered in the attic to decide on their next adventure, they found that the shoes had lost their sparkle. The once vibrant colors had faded, and the magic seemed to have worn off. At first, the children were saddened by this discovery. The shoes had been their gateway to the world, and they feared that their adventures had come to an end. However, as they talked, they realized something important. The true magic wasn't in the shoes. It was in the experiences they had and the lessons they had learned. They didn't need the shoes to explore the world or to appreciate its diversity. The journeys had instilled in them a lifelong love for exploration and a deep respect for different cultures. The children decided to place the shoes back in the old trunk where Lily had first found them, leaving them for another curious soul to discover someday. They knew that the real adventures were just beginning, with or without the magic shoes. As they grew older, the children of Cloverdale became ambassadors of cultural understanding and exploration. They pursued careers that allowed them to travel, learn, and share knowledge. They became storytellers, teachers, and advocates for global awareness. Years later, they would return to the attic, now grown-ups, and reminisce about their magical journeys. They realized that the greatest gift the shoes had given them was a broader perspective of the world, a perspective they were now sharing with the next generation. The story of the magical shoes became a legend in Cloverdale, a tale of wonder and discovery. It was a reminder to all who heard it that the world was vast, filled with endless wonders and lessons, waiting to be explored and understood.